Well, as you heard, we are evaluation team number 1, evaluating Keith Hardy. And Jim is going to be evaluating the structure of Keith's speech. I will be evaluating the delivery, and Nate will be evaluating the Q&A session. And we will begin with Jim.
Okay, Keith, just to start off with, as usual, you demonstrated the excellence that we've come to expect from you. Everybody who's known you knows a lot of what to expect. The structure, to me, was well organized in that you jumped right into the first story instead of giving us some statistics or other information. It was something that we could relate to personally, the human aspect of the information that you were going to present. And you oriented us to and walked us through the data, which is not always the easiest thing to do. Their data can oftentimes be a bit flat and boring, and you walked us through. There were a lot of numbers there, and so that took a bit of time, but then you got to the important part of, okay, here are the statistics, what can you do about it? And then brought us into the mentoring program. And some of the things that I think could possibly help build it even stronger as far as into the mentoring program is one of the things that I would have loved to heard is a question to the audience of who have your mentors been? Can you imagine what your life would be without them? And then bring us back to Jalen. When Jalen walks down the halls, he has a mentor, but he sees hundreds of students every day who don't. And really getting it, drawing us in that way. I would have also loved to see a bit about feedback from the students, some of the direct quotes of how the students' lives have changed that have been involved in the program. But the biggest part of the structure that I want to talk about, that this I think is a key for all of us to remember. Anytime you do question and answers, to end with your own words. I got this feedback directly from Patricia Fripp once that last words linger. Make sure that they're yours. And you did an excellent job of having a prepared statement after the Q&A. Because with Q&A so often, Q&A can take us off the subject because people have questions that maybe are related, maybe somewhat off the topic. Yet you guided us back to exactly with the topic, ended on your powerful statement of the call to action, and reminded us why you were there. So that, I definitely commend you on that, and it was a great example for everybody.
Keith, I'm to be evaluating the delivery of your presentation, and I want to start off by just saying that I like the way you began with a story. A story is always going to be helpful to draw us in. I want to give you some ideas on how I think you might be able to enhance what you did the next time. And one of the questions that I had as I was listening was, what exactly was the purpose of your presentation? Now, the topic says that the purpose is to deliver a report. But in real life, I'm thinking your purpose went well beyond delivering a report. I'm going to assume that your purpose was actually to recruit community leaders, to recruit mentors for mentoring the students. I'm going to assume that was your purpose, because I didn't really hear it clearly. And maybe you stated it, but I didn't really hear it clearly. So to pick up on what Jim said, what I would like to hear you do next time is to make the statistics come alive. You recounted the statistics that were on the sheet, but I didn't really feel like they were more than just statistics. So as Jim had mentioned, a story, maybe go back to the child that you're mentoring, do something to tell us some stories, bring out the emotion that's behind these statistics. Because if your purpose is really to recruit mentors for the programs, we really need to touch our emotions, because for me, statistics are not going to do it. Even though I like statistics, they're not going to move me to say I need to do a mentoring program. Tell a story. Or as Jim mentioned, go back and use experiences that you had from your past, something that's really going to move us to make a difference on this. Then regarding how you did do the statistics, statistics are always difficult when you're dealing with charts and how to present the information. And I found myself not sure where you were on the sheet. Now, maybe it's because I wasn't totally paying attention, maybe it's because it was just not clear where to go, I'm not sure. But it doesn't matter, because as a speaker, it's our responsibility to make sure that even if we weren't paying attention for a moment, we still know where you are. So one thing you might want to do is repeat where you want us to look on the page. So in other words, tell us where to look, and then in the next sentence or two sentences after that, and then again there in that third column, look at the fourth line down. Keep repeating it, because if I did goes off just for a minute and miss it the first time, at least now I can pick it up the second time around. That would help me so much in being able to know where you are on the page. Then I wasn't, again, clear on why you were telling us about the existing mentoring programs that were on the flip chart. I wasn't sure if it was because you wanted us to join in with those programs, or if it was because you wanted us to add on to additional programs that could be there. As community leaders, I wasn't sure what the purpose was in telling us about that. So if you could make that clear, that would be helpful. Finally, as always, you present a very professional appearance as a school board member and as a speaker, and that part, you know, we really don't need to elaborate on, but I'd love to hear you bring out the stories, the emotion, and track us through the statistics and tell us why you're telling us. Thanks, Keith.
Keith, you led an excellent Q&A session. Counted 5 or 6 questions from the audience, and each question you handled like a table topic, a discipline table topic. You divided your answers into 3 components. The first, you either restated the question or provided a summary of your answer. Earlier, you had mentioned a request to focus on, all right, how well did I restate the question? Well, you didn't always restate the question word for word. When appropriate, you did, but at other times, you gave a thesis of the answer to that question, with one example being what I believe Carolyn asked you. And I thought that was very appropriate. It fit exactly. It showed that you weren't just an automaton, just spitting back what they had given you. Second step in each of your answer was you brought information and specific details, as if you had acquired a wealth of this information, that it was just rolling off the tip of your tongue, and it was a matter of releasing whatever information you had in you. Third, you provided additional information that was, in most cases, relevant to the big picture. You said, all right, here's the answer to your question. Now here is additional information, and here's how it fits in with the whole point of what I'm talking about. And the structure was spot on, I think. In the process of listening to each questioner, you were very respectful in your posture. You faced your shoulders to them, you maintained eye contact with just them. What I would recommend doing is showing more relaxation, actually. Your hands were at your side, that was appropriate and all, but you seemed a little self-conscious, eager to show that you were listening. And maybe this was an effect of being well prepared, because you didn't necessarily have to think about the answer. So what is there left to think about but how you give the answer? So a little relaxation technique will go a long way. And you are very polite in complimenting each questioner. There were some, enthusiasm. I thought you sounded very professional, and I think you have a little leeway to add more enthusiasm to this. Now, if you add too much, it makes you seem a little fake, but I think you can let out your passion a little bit more as you present this. And toward the end, I felt like you wanted more questions, which is a valid thing to want. So then the question is, how do you generate more questions from the audience? And this could be by either singling out the unexpected topics, unexpected concepts in the speech that make people pause and say, hey, or relay controversial information. Another item you could stress during your presentation is to reiterate periodically, okay, well now everyone, you'll have an opportunity to ask me for further details at the end of the presentation. So, good job.
Keith, comments you'd like to make?
Yes. Thanks to all 3 of you. Really appreciate the salient feedback that you had for me. And when I turn into what I call my pedantic mode, when I get to report chilling mode, and sometimes I forget the fun that I can have when I'm presenting that information. So it's good to be reminded of that and go back to the stories and the emotion. And I was talking to Jane afterwards, and to tell everyone, it's really great to be a mentor and volunteer at school, and I'm going to love you and hug you and praise you and everything. Is to mix that in, and I need to remember that myself. And that was good reminders from the feedback that you shared with me about that. And I was just thinking too, you always sit down and I didn't have to say this, I didn't have a tagline on, who do you contact to get involved? And I was thinking about those kind of things too, but fantastic feedback, really appreciate that. We'll do better next time we're in public.
Okay, good. Comments from others?
Keith, was the report that you shared with you the school board report or your report? Because you made the comment right away in the beginning, I'll share with you my report. So it's not your report, you should call it whatever it is. I'm gonna share with you the XYZ report, because you had said that, I'm gonna share with you my report.
Okay.
Or you might wanna say I'm sharing with you the report from my perspective or something.
Okay.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Others?
You know, I'm taking off of evaluator one, I'm sorry, I don't know you.
Jim.
And you were talking about the child in the hall and looking at all the children that don't have a mentor. And I was thinking of expanding because in a sense, in the relationship with you, Keith, the child is developing Keith inside. And so he's going to act according to what Keith has told him, and he's going to imitate you because you're a role model. And I thought it would be an interesting ad to show the child in class and have you kind of like there but not really there, sort of like in another dimension, you know, how they do that with camera, whispering in his ear and having him go, oh yeah. And then changing, you know, various little forks in the road in the day that he would do differently because you're there whispering within.
I like that.
Because I think small things that you say will make him do small things different, which leads to big things.
I like that, thank you.
Okay. One more comment? Anybody? Okay, good. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Jim.